Today's lecture, lecture 4, is about towns, cities and countries. And you can see on the front we have a nice picture of the Statue of Liberty in New York City. So this week we're going to talk about a few different points here. And the first point that I want to make is stay positive. Stay positive, and I mean positive thinking, positive speaking, positive life. Everything you need needs to be positive. Some people will find that we're entering some quite challenging English language, but you've got to try and stay as positive as you can. Keep smiling, do all the work you can do, and you'll be amazed at how good your results can be. In terms of what we need to do this week, well, we need to do the week 4 quiz, and we've got a little bit of information up here. This quiz will assess your understanding of the vocabulary and grammar studied in weeks 3 and 4. You may take this quiz as many times as you want. So it's very similar to the quiz that we did in week 2, except now we've got some new vocabulary and grammar in there. The third point I want to make is next week we have our midterm test. So in week 5, the midterm test. In the midterm test there'll be grammar, vocabulary, there'll be listening, there'll be reading, and there will be a writing section. So it's quite a bit to do for the test. The best way to prepare is to look back through your notes, to look over the vocabulary, and to really practice your skimming, scanning, detailed reading, practice your listening, and do some practicing for your writing as well. So you're going to have to write an essay during this test, so that's something that you can definitely practice. And of course, there's always the vocabulary, so it will test the vocabulary that we've done in the first 5 weeks of this course. Also, week 4, I'd encourage you to watch the vocabulary videos, and again, these will help with listening and vocabulary. So the more of these videos you can watch in your own time if you want to, or in class, that's great. Use of comparatives and superlatives. What does that mean? Well, a comparative is when we're comparing two things. So in the United States, New York is bigger than Miami. So these are both cities, New York and Miami, but one is bigger than, so we use this comparative language. Superlative is when it is the biggest or the best or the number one. So we have a superlative. For example, Perth is the sunniest city in Australia. And notice we have the before it because there's only one. And when there's only one of something, we need to use the. So Perth is the sunniest city in Australia. This is an example of a superlative. And hopefully you'll be able to notice comparatives and superlatives during the content for this week. Let's start speaking now about the 4 pictures. And question 1, what do you see in the 4 pictures? In picture A, I can see the Statue of Liberty, which is located in New York City. This is the harbour of New York City. It's the place where a lot of the boats first arrive when they come across the Atlantic Ocean. They arrive in New York Harbour. And we can see there's some very tall buildings there, which we might call skyscrapers. And we can see the skyline of New York City is quite a high skyline. And then we can also see this Statue of Liberty in the foreground, and she is holding a flame very high, and she is welcoming new people into the United States. We can see it's a nice sunny day, it's blue sky, there's a little bit of cloud around, and a very famous photo of New York. In picture B we see a very famous picture of Paris, and again, nice sunny blue sky day, and right in the middle we have the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower was built by the French in 1887, so it's a very old building, but it's a spectacular building, reaches very high into the sky and can be seen from most places around Paris. In picture C we can see a very busy intersection. This is actually an intersection in Korea, in the capital Seoul of South Korea, and we can see that there's a lot of traffic moving across the intersection, but there's also a lot of people waiting. There's some tall buildings as well, so it's obviously right in the middle of the city. In picture D we have a real contrast. We actually have a country area, or which is also called a rural area, and this is a place where people look like they're growing some crops. They're on the side of the hill. There's a little hut here in the foreground as well. So a place where people would live in the countryside. Question 2. Do you like small towns or do you prefer large cities? My answer to that question is that I prefer large cities. I like large cities such as New York and Paris because I think they give you a lot of choices. If I was going to live in a large city, it would mean that I could have plenty of choices for entertainment. I would be able to have good education choices for my children as well, and it would be a good, fun place to grow up. I think there would be plenty of activities to do, and I would never get bored in a place like this. So I think overall, large cities are for me. Which city in the world would you like to visit one day in the future? Give reasons why. One day in the future, I would like to visit Beijing, the capital of China. I would like to visit Beijing because it has many historical places. It has an amazing history. It has the Forbidden City, which is right in the heart of Beijing, and there is incredible artwork and architecture, and the story of China can be found in this city. There's also Tiananmen Square, which is a very famous place, and it is a place where people can ride bikes, have a look around, and visit these famous places. Let's turn now to reading, and in particular skim reading. And skim reading, like we've said before, is helpful to quickly understand the main idea for each paragraph. So when I'm reading, when I get a new text, it might be the test that I do in week 5 or the test I do in week 10 or another test I do during my time, I need to start to think, what is the paragraph about? First of all, let's have a look at this one about Perth in Western Australia. Perth is the capital city of Western Australia. It is a modern city, so this gives me an idea. It's a basic introduction. It gives an overview of this particular article. Second one, close to the city is Kings Park. Kings Park is a place, etc. So this paragraph is about Kings Park. So any questions I have about Kings Park, I'll know that that's the place to go. Third paragraph is about the population, 2 million people, nice houses, large neighbourhoods that surround the city. So anything about the people who live in Perth, I can find it in there. Next one, the public transport. So I know that we're going to talk about freeways and train links and buses and things like that. So all that information should be in the public transport system paragraph. And finally, because it is located on the west coast, the beaches around Perth. So I can see that this is the important topic that we're going to talk about in this paragraph. It's the beaches, and we're talking about the coast, a place for people to play, children to play and relax, sunny, and which creates this beach lifestyle. Straight away, I'm just reading the first line of each of these different paragraphs, and it gives me a really good understanding, because remember, in most tests you don't have time to read the whole article. You've really just got to skim read to get the most important points. And the second point I've got here is most articles you read are like an essay that you write. Each paragraph is related to one topic. So just like when we're writing our essays, our 250 word essays, we have to be very careful about each paragraph. In the readings that we read during a test, we can also see that each paragraph is about a different topic. Let's turn now to speaking, and our strategy for today is answer, reason, and example. And this is a good way that we can talk and really extend our answers. We can speak for a longer period of time. So the question here is, do you agree or disagree with this statement? And the statement is, life in rural areas is healthier than life in the city. So first of all, I need to give my answer. So my answer is, yes, I agree. Life in rural areas is healthier than life in the city. This is because rural areas have a cleaner environment, and also there is more space to play in a rural area. For example, Shanghai in China is a very large city, and because it's such a large city, the environment is not very clean, so it's not very healthy. In addition, there's not much space for children to play in, because again, it's a large city. So therefore, the life in Shanghai is not as healthy as life in a country area. Let's turn now to writing, And again, I like to use my analyze, brainstorm, choose method, the ABC. And our question today is, in recent years, the traffic in many cities has become worse. What do you think are the reasons for this? What do you think city planners could do to solve this problem? So when we analyze, we can clearly see that there's two things we need to do. We need to talk about the reasons, which we could sometimes call our causes, and we need to look at some solutions, so how to solve this problem. When we're looking at analyzing, we know that we're looking for reasons and solutions. Now let's brainstorm. When we think about some of the reasons for the bad traffic, well, one reason is definitely because of the increased population. Another reason might be that more people are choosing to buy cars. People have more cars, so this means that there's a huge number of cars in the city. And how could they solve this problem? If you're a city planner, you might want to increase the tax on cars. That means making it more expensive for people to drive cars. Another way that you could do this is you could increase public transport. You could increase the number of buses. You could increase the number of trains. And this would certainly help solve the problems. So I've written these down in a brainstorming way, and then I need to actually go in and choose which one I'm going to focus on. And I think the fact that the population has increased is definitely a good one to choose, and also the way that we can increase the level of public transport. We can increase the number of buses and increase the number of trains. That's usually a good way to solve this type of problem.